welcome back for another 6 Caillou challenge called Pyramid Array. Really straightforward, not much description, not much to say. Write a function that when given a number greater than or equals to 0, right there your input, returns an array of ascending length subarrays. So you notice that we have this array of array, if you will, a sort of, we'll talk about what this is, a jagged array. But you get the idea. If you're past 0, then there's no subarrays. So you just kind of have an empty array there. If you get 1, you're passing an array of size 1. If you get 2, you're going to do one of size 1, then of size 2, and etc. for 3. And notice that each array that you make will always be filled with all 1s. It's just the number of 1s in the array that varies, and it steps up, 1, 2, 3, etc. Note the subarrays should be filled with 1s. Yep, we said that. So yeah, like I said, pretty easy to understand what they want, and if you think about it, it's pretty darn easy to implement too. But pause the video, give it an honest attempt, and come on back. We'll get right into it. So yeah, we'll talk about this type. If you remember, I think this has come up in some previous videos, but this is what they call a jagged array, and we are going to use this kind of syntax to initialize it. So I'll go ahead and copy that, or I could have used the copy button here. But you'll notice how this will allocate space, in this case for 3 integer arrays within the larger array. And then they show you how to initialize it. So for each index, they declared 3 here, so they have 3 lines, index 0, index 1, index 2. And this is where you get to see the feature of the jagged arrays. Note how they're different sizes. So you might think that's weird, but you might have a use case like we do in our challenge where you need those different lengths. But you can contrast this with a multi-dimensional array. So you can read through both of these pages to see the difference, but basically it comes down to, with the multi-dimensional, all your subarrays are the exact same size. So you can think of this more like a table, like in this case, a 4x2 table, or in 3 dimensions, 4x2x3. But each subarray will always be the same length. They won't vary. So they made the jagged so you don't have to use an oversized multi-dimensional array, presumably, and leaving empty values in it. So yeah, feel free to read more about that if you like. But we have this syntax, so I copied that. We'll go back and I'll just go ahead and paste it in, and we'll rename it for our purposes. Now I'm gonna set this up to n for our case. That'll be the size, right? Notice when it was 1, it had 1 element, 1 array. When it was 2, it had 2 arrays. When it was 3, it had 3 arrays. That's why I'm sizing it this way. So I know how many subarrays it's going to be equal to the input value. And I'll just call this result. So yeah, we have a jagged array for that. Setup. Now what we can do, int I equals 0, I is less than n. Nothing crazy here, just a regular for loop. What we can do now is sort of make each subarray. So what I can do is we can say result I is going to be equal to, remember, enumerable repeat, and it's going to be all 1s, right? And we remember that the second argument to repeat is the count, how many you want. So this would be I plus 1, right? If we're on index 0, I want 1. And even with 0, right, we'd never even go through the for loop, because I is 0, 0 is not less than 0, so we just skip the whole for loop. So it'll work for that base case too, or that maybe if you want to call it an edge case. But yeah, basically enumerable repeat 1, and then tell it how many 1s to fill it with, and it'll just increase by 1 each time, right? I is going to increment each time through the for loop, and that should play out just how we like. But remember, repeat is going to return an I enumerable, in this case of type integer, and we can't assign that to an integer array, right? But they were thinking of us we know they have this handy toArray method that we can use to get that format. And if you do this right, it should just be a matter of returning that result. Now we're going to have to bring in using system link, right? Okay, as long as I didn't type anything wrong, something like this. Got some green there, looking good. And again, if you wanted to see this building, just put some curly braces in here, drop a console write line statement in here, and you can write out the values in your array if you want. You know, if you either wanted to see that work or if you're running into trouble. But we're good there. Let's hit the attempt, make sure we're still good. And yeah, right, pretty easy, not bad. I hope you crush this one. Yeah, I guess the most interesting thing probably about this was maybe learning the difference between a jagged array and a multi-dimensional array. So I don't use these a lot, but could be good to know about. It's always good to know about, right? The more tools you have, good stuff. So I'll go ahead and submit mine. I don't think I have any fluff here that I need to get rid of. And then, yeah, I mean, you can look through other answers, see what people did. And select, yeah, there you go. There's the one-liner. More one-liners for you. But anyway, you know what to do if you have questions, comments, feedback. I appreciate it all. Otherwise, I will see you in another video. Thanks for watching.